Hello. I wanted to do a video on triggers because I feel like some of us that are new to this might not understand what triggers are or what our triggers are. I know because I've had this anxiety for a while, years. So I know what most of my triggers are. I'm still trying to figure out a couple of them, but yeah. So basically, what a trigger is. A trigger is something that causes your mind to go back to a time or a moment or a situation that caused you to have anxiety. And so what happens is your body is like having anxiety again. I wanted to bring this up because it's very important to know what your triggers are and to understand them, and so that you can overcome them. Because I'm not saying that when you find out what your triggers are, you just need to stay away from that altogether. I mean, maybe at the beginning you might have to until you learn how to deal with it, or maybe deal with your triggers slowly. But seriously, it's very important to understand what your triggers are. I'm going to give you a couple examples of my triggers. Okay. One of my triggers is, this is from childhood, actually, and y'all should think about these kind of things, like what happened in your childhood type stuff. Because a lot of the times, a lot of our triggers actually stem from like childhood issues. So one of mine happens to be like yelling and screaming. If somebody's yelling and screaming at me or around me, I tend to get anxiety. Not because I'm afraid. It's because it's just a trigger for me. Since I was a child, I've always been, when I was little, okay. This is why that is a trigger for me, is because when I was little, I used to actually get yelled and screamed at a lot. As a matter of fact, we used to get punished, like severely punished. When I was little, I'm not going to say I was beat. I guess nowadays standards, dealing with kids and punishment, I would be considered being beat, but I don't think I was beat. I was just, my stepfather at the time was extremely strict, and he wouldn't spank us all the time, but he would do other things. And then when he did spank us, it was kind of horrible. My mom got him to like do other stuff, but like basically what I'm trying to say is yelling and screaming has always been a trigger for me. Another trigger for me is being around alcohol, parties, going to bars, things like that have always been a trigger. Well, not always. That's been a trigger for me. Also, another trigger for me is a long time ago, one of my triggers used to be popcorn, as weird as that sounds. But because when I first had my very first panic attack, I ended up, I had eaten like a bunch of popcorn. I was pregnant at the time, my very first like major panic attack, that started this whole downhill slope that I'm going through. And I had been snacking on popcorn and microwave popcorn or whatever. And I went to lay down to take a nap. And when I did, about 15 minutes later, I ended up waking up in like the most horrible panic attack ever. Like I couldn't breathe, and I ran straight to the bathroom and threw up because I could not get a breath, like at all. Like it was like I wasn't breathing at all. It wasn't no shallow breathing. It wasn't the hyperventilation that I have now. It was no breathing, like literally no breathing. And then I had nausea and my whole body was shaking, and I was bad. That was my very first major panic attack. Now I've had anxiety since I was a child, but my very first major panic attack came while I was pregnant, years ago. So, and this is what happened. And because of that, my brain associated the anxiety, the panic attack with me eating popcorn. So like I stayed away from popcorn for like years. I just barely, maybe a couple years ago, was able to start actually eating popcorn again. So what I'm saying is, though, your triggers, you need to realize what your triggers are. Whenever certain subjects are brought up, or whenever certain people are talked about, or whenever certain people are around me, they happen to be triggers for me for various reasons. If you pay attention, you need to pay attention to your anxiety. Pay attention to what's going on around you when you have your anxiety. What's happening when you have your anxiety? What do you eat? I have certain foods that are triggers. Like I said, the popcorn thing was a trigger, and it can still be sometimes, depending on like what it is. But like movies are a trigger for me. I can't handle sitting there for 2 hours still. Like me knowing that I have to sit there and be quiet and be still for 2 hours affects me like really bad. Like I end up where I start getting anxiety. I start having like numbness in my legs, or I start getting shaky, or I get dizzy, and I get like all these things when I go to the movie theater. I still go when I really, 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 really want to watch a movie, you know, like for instance, I'm a big nerd. So, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, those are movies like I had to watch in the theater, you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh my goodness, you know, I had to watch those in the movie theater. And so, I forced myself to go, and as soon as the movie was over, of course, I bolted out of there. But I was having real bad anxiety, and then like if I have to go to the bathroom by myself, like in the middle of the movies, it freaks me out like really bad. I barely even eat at the movies because I don't want to have to get up. Plus, I'm really scared of food. That's another trigger of mine, is like bad food. What I'm saying is I have a whole lot of triggers. Like I really do. I've realized this. But you need to pay attention to like the people. I mean, you're surrounding. Maybe certain environments trigger you. Maybe certain times of the day trigger you. Maybe just certain noises, maybe, or like for people with PTSD, like loud bangs. Usually, like people that have been like in the war and things like that, have been in wars. Usually like big bangs and stuff like that will trigger their anxiety, will trigger an episode, you know, things like that. So, I mean, you really need to think about, I'm not saying like I've never been to war, but like certain noises and stuff will trigger me anyway. So you just, I think it's very important for you to know your triggers. And sometimes like with me, the dark certain times, like for instance, 3 o'clock in the morning is a big trigger for me. So is if I stay up past midnight, I start freaking out because I start thinking that I'm not going to get any sleep that night, you know, and stuff like that. So just figure out your triggers, and it'll be easier for you to kind of figure out, instead of you like going into anxiety or having really bad panic and you're like freaking out and you're like, why is this happening to me? Then you'll know, oh, okay, it was because so-and-so was here. Oh, it's because I just got a phone call from blank. You know what I mean? Or it's because this person was here doing this, you know, I don't know. Whatever your trigger might be. For some of us, it might be, like for me, a big trigger a long time ago. When my anxiety first started, the reason my anxiety started in the first place was because of my husband. So he was a humongous trigger for me for years, for the very first years that I struggled with this. It's something I had to come to grips with and realize, and why he was a trigger, and the things that he would do, or the things he would bring around me, the things I had to go do. You don't know my story, but he was a major trigger. He's the reason why I ended up having the anxiety to begin with. He's the reason why my anxiety started getting so bad, why it flew into an explosion of craziness years ago. And it's better now. But back then, he was a major trigger of mine. And I had to like learn how to deal with that and figure stuff out. So anyway, like the popcorn thing isn't a trigger for me anymore. My husband isn't a trigger for me anymore, because I've learned to deal with them, and I learned, okay, well, why is this a trigger for me? And then I started like being logical in my brain. So that's why it's really important for you to figure out your triggers. I cannot watch certain shows like that medical examiner show. No, that's a big fat no for me, because if I watch it, I'm going to be triggered. When people start talking about like how people have died or whatever, you know, of something like recently, oh, did you hear about that girl and she died, blah, 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 blah. That's going to be a trigger. But part of me, it's like part of me wants to hear what she died of, or he, or whatever, you know, and I want to know how old they were, if they had past history of medical issues, if, you know, I want to know all these things because I want to know if it's a possibility that it could happen to me. So like, I try not to put myself in those situations where I'm going to be like wanting to know all this stuff. I suggest the same for you guys, because it's just not smart to do that, because it makes us more like crazy, like it makes us more like where we're thinking constantly about this stuff. I just basically, triggers are important to learn about. You need to know about your triggers and figure out what's going on with you, especially if you're brand new to this. If you're brand new to anxiety, if you just figured out, if your doctor just diagnosed you with anxiety like 2 months ago or something, please try to figure out what your triggers are. Like I said, I know I've talked to a couple of you and I've helped y'all figure out your triggers. I know one of y'all talked to me years ago when I first started this channel, and it happened to be his wife. That was like a major trigger for him. So it's something and he was able to figure that out and figure out how to deal with the triggers and why he was getting the triggers and like the things that would happen to cause the triggers and like all this stuff. So like you need to basically it's really important to figure out what your triggers are, because if you don't know them, then you won't be able to really handle your anxiety, and you're going to be freaking out all the time, wondering why you had anxiety at this time or at this day, and like it's just going to be going out of control. So you need to really pay attention to your triggers and figure out what they are. I think it's very, very important. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I will be making other videos later on. I just got back from a job interview. I think I did a video on that. I'll see if it recorded on my phone or not. But I will talk to you guys later. I hope everybody's doing great and wonderful. And like I said, there's other videos. There's other things I want to be able to talk about. Triggers is a big thing. Remember to always be positive. You need to be positive. It's so important. You know what? I am going to be making a video about how our brains work when it comes to our thinking, our thought process, and what happens to our brains, like scientifically proven what happens to our brains. I'm going to focus on that too. So probably here in a little bit. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later, and I hope y'all are doing wonderful and that y'all are great, and just keep doing what you do. Remember, you're silent warriors. Continue to be a silent warrior. You are a warrior, although silent. So every single one of us. And so just be positive and be awesome and continue to do your thing. But I will talk to you guys later. And if you need any help dealing with the triggers, go ahead and comment below. I know y'all have been helping each other out. I love seeing that, by the way. I love seeing you guys talking to each other about all this stuff, because I'm only one person and I can't really talk to every single person all the time. Plus, I'm really busy, and so, like, you know, I have anxiety too, you know. But I love y'all talking to each other and stuff. I love seeing that. I do get a notification. I get notifications like every single time anyone puts anything on the comments. So I see y'all's conversations and stuff, and I really think they're really, really cool. So, but anyway, I will say this. I cannot respond through my phone. My phone is stupid. And I honestly, if I see, like, it'll email me, tell me what y'all said, and for me to try to go and respond to it, it doesn't let me. I'll even try going on the internet with my phone and try to go to where I can reply. And I've tried to reply a few times, and it tells me that an error happened and I can't. So, like, the only time I can ever reply is if I actually am in front of a computer, like, with Wi-Fi and, like, all that. And that doesn't happen too often during the day. So, I'm sorry if I don't get back to y'all, like, quickly. That's why. It's because I really can't. So, but anyway, like I said, continue to talk to each other. Figure out your triggers. Like, seriously, y'all need to figure out your triggers. Figure out what's going on, why you're having the anxiety at those moments or whatever. It'll help you to get on and be able to get through life. Like, I know the lights thing is a big thing for a lot of people. So you know what to expect. Like, I know what to expect when I go to Walmart, pretty much. So, like, but I know what to expect. I know what I'm gonna get through it, and I'm gonna be fine. And but I know that's one of my triggers. So yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's very important to figure out your triggers, and that way, you'll be able to get your anxiety more under control. So, well, you know what I mean. I don't like using the word control because that's a big thing for us with anxiety. But anyway, but I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. I'll be making other videos, and I'll talk to you guys later. If there's anything y'all want me to make videos about, please put it in the comment section. Let me know. If y'all have questions about certain things or whatever, then please put it down there, because there's a lot I want to talk about, a lot that I want to make videos about, but sometimes like at moments like this, I don't really remember what I need to make videos about. So, and then I remember, and then I don't, and then whatever. So, but anyway, I'll be making a good number today because I'm trying to remember everything that I need to make videos about. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.